Welcome to B-Flow Sessions, the podcast where we help you find and stay in the flow on the water and in life. I'm your host, Brad Burton. Join me as I sit down with paddlers, athletes, and adventurers who are all seeking the flow. B-Flow Sessions is brought to you by our friends at Pecan Kayak Retreat. Are you dreaming of a Chilean whitewater escape this winter? Picture turquoise rapids, warm sunny days, and world-class rivers for every skill level, all based out of a riverside retreat built by paddlers for paddlers. If that sounds like your kind of winter, then Pecan Kayak Retreat is the place. To learn more or to book your dream kayak trip, reach out to me directly at bflowkayak@gmail.com and I'll help you get connected. B-Flow Sessions is powered by Dagger Kayaks. Wherever there's water, Dagger Kayaks will help you find your flow. Team-tested, paddler-proven designs for all paddlers and all water. And thanks to our partners at Sawyer Paddles, Stohlquist PFDs, and Level 6 Gear for keeping us in the flow. Welcome to the next episode of B-Flow Sessions. And this session, I am so stoked to be joined by one of the most just badass female paddlers out there, Ava Christensen. Ava, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for being on B-Flow Sessions.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So Ava is one of the most accomplished paddlers in the world. She is a recent graduate of Appalachian State University, and my wife is a graduate of there. Full disclosure, I'm a graduate of her rival, and we've had some fun kind of jabbing each other about that. I'm a Catamount, Western Carolina, the Harvard of kayaking. So we'll let Ava slide that she's an App State mountaineer. But congratulations on recently graduating.
Thank you. I'm super excited about that, but I'm definitely going to miss the Watauga.
Absolutely. Ava has spent her whole life kayaking. She got her start in the U.S. Whitewater Center there in Charlotte. She's gone to the Keeners. She's a graduate of World Class Kayak Academy. She got to paddle on the White Nile before it was dammed. She loves teaching intermediates, helping them progress into Class 4 and 5 whitewater. She's spent a lot of time freestyle, but now she kind of finds her flow creek boating, doing expeditions all over the world, and loves to slicey boat, but then also get into her longboat as well. And we're going to hear about a lot of that and some future plans that she has in store for her. So again, Ava, welcome to B-Flow Sessions.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So the first question that we ask everybody is, how did you find your flow in kayaking?
Totally. So I started kayaking at a pretty young age. The first time was ever in a boat was in a raft at the Whitewater Center, and they couldn't get me to stop signing up for trips. So eventually I joined kayak camp.
Nice.
And I kind of fell in love with it immediately. And then I paddled throughout high school and throughout my whole childhood and always really loved it, but I kind of was always following and learning from other people. And then right after high school, I spent a summer on Cherry Creek, which is this awesome section right outside of Yosemite. It's below Upper Cherry, and it's this dam release section, so it runs most days in the summer. And that's just a stretch where I feel like I gained a lot of my Class 5 confidence and became less of a follower and more of a leader out there. And also just felt more confident in my own boat, picking my own lines, and really just getting after it, yeah.
So you grew up in the Charlotte area then?
I did. I grew up in Charlotte, but then I would always travel to Wilson Creek or the Watauga or the Asheville area. But I actually didn't get on my first natural river for 4 years into kayaking.
Do you think that the urban parks are kind of a great avenue for youth because they're in populated areas and it gives people access?
100%. I think for someone like me, I can't imagine learning anywhere else. My family doesn't paddle, and so it was really awesome because they have safety set up. There's a conveyor belt so you don't have to run shuttle, and you can just show up and safely boat with friends all day. And since you don't have to run shuttle, if you got a bunch of energy, you could just kayak for 8 hours straight and be exhausted and go home. So I think it's a great place to be.
Are your parents into other outdoor sports? I mean, were they
They are. My
receptive
family
of?
loves to ski.
I'm sorry.
They are. My family loves to ski.
Okay, so they kind of understood the adrenaline rush and the outdoor pursuit.
They do. It was actually their idea. We were doing one of the high ropes courses, and I found that I was a little afraid of heights, and they're like, well, let's just try the rafting and see how that is. And I just loved it immediately.
That's awesome. So, who were your first mentors? Maybe the people who first kind of took you under your wing, whether it was there at the Whitewater Center in Charlotte, or at Keeners, or that summer out in Cherry Creek finding your flow in Class 5. Who were some of the people who kind of helped you emerge to where you were then mentors for other people?
Totally. So when I first started paddling at the Whitewater Center, Fergus Coffrey used to take Bryce, Aaron, and I. He's one of my good friends from the Charlotte area out, and we would do flat water on the lake in the winter, and that was always super fun. And then later on, I went to Keeners, and Clay Wright and Stephen Wright are obviously some of the best freestyle coaches in the world. I really can't imagine getting taught by anyone else. Their drills and ability to work with kids and teach them about safety, but also keep them so excited is really impressive. And then when I went to world class, I had some great mentors like Todd Wells and Cole Moore. But then later in my world class career, on one of the breaks, I had seen some pretty scary stuff on the river. And when I came back, I was a little rattled. And
Mm,
people like Caleb Grady and Beth Morgan definitely helped me find my love for the sport again. But I would say my mentors are kind of my whole circle and really just everyone who took the time to help me step it up and feel comfortable on the water, or just anyone who's been down to rally just on a cold day or a sunny day.
yeah, that's awesome. So, perfect flow. I want you to think about a time when everything was just perfect on the water. Those may have been a sunny day, it may have been a rainy, stormy day. I don't know, but just a day where everything clicked, the best crew, the best flow. You're hitting all your lines, and you look back, you're like, man, that was a great day on the river.
Totally. The first one that pops in my head is probably the Raven Fork. That was a river that I had heard about for years, and I never really was sure if I wanted to run it or not. But it was a great flow, and my friend Max called me. And we just took it really slow. We scouted about every rapid, and everyone was just crushing their lines all day. And I think low volume creeking is truly my happy place. It's where I'm most
Mm.
comfortable. So that's kind of what I love the most. But I would say full slicing on the Watauga or the Golly, or getting in my longboat somewhere and just cruising for one full lap without stopping is also a great way.
The opposite of that would be flood. And sometimes as kayakers, we like a good flood, but I'm talking like a flooding experience where you're not in control. Everything kind of went haywire and things did not go well. Can you think of a time like that?
Totally. I've definitely had some times like that. There was one lap on the Callahan in Canada, and this wasn't too crazy of an accident, but as I came off the 20-footer, I put my arms straight out in front of me instead of moving them to the side, and I knocked my front teeth out.
Oh,
It was on Canada Day, so I spent the next 3 days without front teeth. But then a little bit of a more chaotic story. We were putting on the Watauga. It had just rained a good bit, and I was pretty suspicious that it was going to get high. And I told my friends that I was like, it just rained a lot. Everyone's like, I don't think it's going to get too high. And I was like, sweet, we'll just put on, we'll cruise. But it did. The river spiked from 400 to 4,000 CFS within
mm,
30 minutes. And that's pretty crazy because that's a section that I really love to paddle between 200 and 1,000. I'll do it above 1,000 if I'm feeling really good, but I never would have put on it 4,000.
no.
So it actually was really cool to get to see the gorge at that flow. And since we know the river so well, we were able to know where we can hike around the rapids and kind of picture where those big holes were going to be before we even got there. And we did a lot of walking, but that's definitely
Mm.
a very specific flood story.
It's amazing how a creek that you think about, like, oh, I don't want to piton here, you got to avoid this pin situation here, and most of the time, especially in the southeast, holes aren't really that much of a concern, but then all of a sudden a river that you're not concerned about holes could have some really kind of keeper type situations.
Totally. And it was a few months after the hurricane. It was maybe the
Mm,
second or third time it ran afterwards. And so we had the old one memorized, but it was kind of harder to predict what was going to happen to some of those other moves. But we were pretty
yeah.
pleasantly surprised by how many big eddies there were. And
Okay.
yeah, there you can still walk some stuff. So
Nice. What about low flow? Sometimes when you've been away from the sport, maybe because school was too hectic or an injury or life, family, whatever. Has there ever been a moment like that for you?
totally. Yeah. During college a lot, I would say things got really busy. I had a semester where I had 2 internships and was babysitting and wanted to kayak all the time, but didn't really have the time. And then there's been other semesters where you have the free time and it just doesn't rain. I'd say that pretty well describes this past one. But there's also some great ones, where you get to paddle every weekend. So it's just kind of a toss up. But yeah, when it's good, it's good.
Yeah. So World Class Kayak Academy, you mentioned Todd Wells. Who were some of your other instructors and teachers there?
I also had Carly and Kaya, Beth Morgan, Nicole Mansfield, Riley Gardner, Jason Craig, and a few more. But yeah, we had an incredible crew. I was lucky to get to go for 2 years. I was just gonna go for the one, but then the pandemic started in 2020 while we
Mm,
were in Chile, and so we left Chile. Our fourth quarter was canceled, and my other school was online, and we just kind of knew that the quality of education I was gonna get was gonna be better at world class, especially with it being in person. And so I was lucky
hmm.
enough to go back the next year.
Oh, wow. Other than Chile, what were some of the other places that you all went?
We went to Chile, Costa Rica, Canada, and then when the pandemic hit, we had an online quarter, and then we had a Southeast quarter, a PNW quarter, and an Ecuador one.
Nice.
Yeah, it was incredible. I really love that program.
Yeah, it's amazing that you can see like the through line. I mean, World Class now is just so well established and well respected, and all of them have been. But going back from to Adventure Quest, and then huge experiences started with Dave Hughes, who now has Pukong Kayak Retreat, and World Class Kayak Academy as well. Kind of both spawned out of um, what did I just say, the original one, based in Vermont. I just said it, and I can't remember the name of it now.
It's the one, I can't remember the name either, but they kind of started at the same time. New River?
Well, there was New River Academy came out of Huge Experiences,
Hmm.
but both Scott Daughter and David Hughes, they both were teachers for Adventure Quest. There we go, which was like back in the '90s, early 2000s was, and they were based out of Vermont. And Scott and Dave were both teachers for Adventure Quest, and then when Adventure Quest folded, they both started their own academies. So Scott starting World Class, and Dave Hughes started Huge Experiences, which then became New River Academy, and now is just the Pecone Kayak Retreat. So yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely am so glad those programs got started. It really changed the way that I thought about paddling and also just made my high school experience so incredible.
what type of programs are at Charlotte, and that would probably be the one about the most, but also like the other urban whitewater parks that are there for youth to really get into kayaking at a high level like you did. And I know a lot of slalom paddlers find their way through those programs as well.
Totally. Yeah, I started just at the intro kids camp. It's like a week-long day camp that they have every day. And then after a few summers of paddling around at the Whitewater Center, I had pitched the idea to my parents. I was like, hey, I really want to check out some natural rivers. And since they weren't big paddlers, they were pretty nervous about the idea of that. And so that was how they came across the Keeners program because they really
Mm.
wanted to have that first aid and swift water training. And so I feel like at the Whitewater Center, I learned how to roll and got my basic skills and met a few friends in my area that I could just show up and paddle with during the day.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I love that.
So now this section's called the current. What do you do to find flow today, and also kind of tell folks, what you're doing with your life today with graduating. And then this goes right into our next segment, which is downstream, kind of what, is around the corner for you.
Totally. I think for me, I'm just trying to get as many fun days on the water as I can, and that kind of changes, I would say, week to week. Sometimes I really enjoy pushing myself on bigger whitewater, and then some weeks I'm not feeling it as much, and so just trying to find that balance and figure out what I'm most excited to paddle. And I think I'm someone who really likes setting goals, so if I decided that I wanted to race the Little White in the spring, trying to figure out how I can feel comfortable to get to that point is something that would motivate me throughout the whole winter. And then I try to switch it up a lot. I like to do a lot of slicing, creek boating, fast laps. I love mixing it up with big water too.
Awesome. Um, can you share about your new endeavor and
Oh, yeah,
relocation and things?
totally. So right after school, I'm going to be moving out to White Salmon at least until September, and I'm really excited to get back to the rivers out there. I'm hoping to get more comfortable running waterfalls again since I haven't had the opportunity to do that in a little bit. And yeah, I just can't wait to reconnect with the community and the water out there.
Yeah, that is definitely the place to be now. Seems like maybe there's more Southern accents in the Pacific Northwest now than there are Western. That PNW accent.
Pretty soon they might get a Bojangles. They just might.
That might be the quote of the episode so far, right there. Yeah,
I hope they do.
get a Waffle House, maybe a Huddle House.
A
Yeah,
Tudor's Biscuit World.
yeah.
We were driving to West Virginia. We were in Fayetteville right before the holidays, and they had Tudors all decorated, and the lower meadow was in, and I was like, "This is a beautiful thing."
Let's eddy out and take a quick break. Do you need a break from the cold of a North American winter? Then let's head south to the best whitewater on earth at Pecan Kayak Retreat. Email me at bflowkayak@gmail.com to learn more about how you can take the ultimate paddling adventure in the heart of Chile. Now let's peel out and head downstream.
It is. Yeah. um, so this next segment is called Flow Advice. So what advice would you give? And I want you to think about two different paddlers here. One, a brand new paddler, regardless of age. And then the second one, you may not be able to personally, be able to relate to, but maybe people like this. The second one would be somebody older who used to paddle, put the boat up, and now they're getting off the couch and wanting to paddle again. What advice would you give to those two groups of people?
I think the advice that I would really give to anyone who's trying to get back into paddling or start paddling is to get in a boat that's like a playboat or a half slice, something that's going to make you flip, make you get a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe you'll get surfed and have to surf out. Just because having to roll and having to work a little harder to make a boof is going to make it feel so much easier when you get back in that creek boat. And so I think just trying to challenge yourself in easier whitewater. And I think if you're getting back into paddling, just really trying to not put too much pressure on yourself to perform a certain way and just try and find rivers that are exciting to you, whether that's something like the Ocoee or the Locksaw or maybe like the South Fork American, just trying to pick a river that's really enticing to you and try and drill in some moves. I like to think about setting goals when I'm out there. If I'm trying to learn my hand roll, maybe each time I paddle, I try 10 hand rolls.
Very
I
cool.
think that's advice that really anyone in their boating, even me, can apply, and really anyone.
Yeah. Now, this is the Pecan Kayak Retreat Pro Hot Tip. I want you to think about now like a Class 5 paddler, and they're like, Ava, give me a tip that has really helped you in your professional career and on Class 5. So the Pecan Kayak Retreat Pro Hot Tip, what do you got?
I think be awesome to your crew and the people around you. Help load boats, help set safety. If someone's nervous, check in on them, and just be like an all-around team player. I find that when I'm nervous, the people that really make a lap feel safer and more comfortable are the people that I always want to paddle with on those runs, and building that trust and connection with people can give you so many more opportunities to paddle than if you're just kind of keeping your head down and going downstream. So just kind of taking the extra step with your friends to really be there for each other.
Beautiful. Love it. All right. Are you ready to run the rapids? So this is a rapid fire segment, and I'm going to throw out a topic, and you got to give me your Mount Rushmore, like your top, 2, 3, 4, 5 favorites from these categories.
Sweet. I'm bad at picking favorites, but there'll be a few.
Okay. All right. Kayak designs.
For full sizes, I really love the Nova and the Triple X, but I did just get a jib off Facebook Marketplace, so I'm really excited to fit in the smallest full size I can find. And then for creeking, I really like to use the small code for slides and waterfalls, but if I'm doing an overnight expedition or some big water, I might get in the medium.
Okay. Rivers of all time.
This summer, I got to do the Lower Myrkdalen in Norway, and it really just blew my mind. It was big slides and it was intimidating. It was definitely one of the bigger sections I've done in my paddling career, but I was out there with River. She was showing me down, and she's one of my kayaking heroes, so I was like feeling confident, feeling stoked, and it was just an incredible day on the water. And then high water Lochsaw will always have a place in my heart. I think that's the biggest joy lap you can find. It's just clean fun, big holes, but you can see where they are from the top of the rapid. Kick flips for days, and I'm someone who struggles with kick flips, so if there's a really big wave, my chances are a lot better.
Yes,
And
for
then
sure.
South Silver in California is right up my alley. Skyscraper Rapid is probably one of the biggest, cleanest slides that you can find. It's like all of those moves in there really want you to have a great skip off of them. And then my next favorite would probably be the curler move on number 9, basic, but there's nothing like the feeling of going over that curler, looking to your left and right, being terrified of both those holes and going right past them.
Well, that kind of leads me to my next one. Like, think about your favorite play spots or individual rapids. So it could
My
be a big
favorite,
waterfall rapid or a play spot, either one.
when I think about my favorite individual rapid, it's probably Lumsden Falls on Cherry Creek. It's kind of the last major rapid of the run. And you go through this slot, and then it's straight into a big curler, into a hole at the bottom with a few crashing waves as you're going down. It's just a really big, exciting rapid after a great day of paddling. And then right when you get out, there's a bridge above it that's an awesome 45-foot bridge jump. And I'm someone who's a little bit scared of heights, but I enjoy being afraid. So the combination of the two is pretty great.
Um, States or regions in the United States?
I really do love the Southeast. I'm excited to explore out west, but I do love being in North Carolina because of the proximity to Kentucky, West Virginia, all the rivers around here. You can get so many different places within 2 to 3 hours, and the style of kayaking and the community out here is pretty hard to beat. And in the summer, you can go skin to wind with elbow pads on, which is the best.
That's right. Yep. What about now international, your favorite countries to paddle in?
Totally. This summer, I got to teach a kayaking class for Cali Collective in Valsesia, Italy, and
Mm,
that was the most incredible trip I've ever been on. There's great food, great wine, great whitewater, and the clients on the trip were awesome. And we got to compete in the Valsesia River Festival, which had a team race where paddlers came from all over Europe. So we got to kind of meet the community out there and eat great pizza. And yeah, I just love the sections. There's so much to do within that little valley. We probably did something new every day for the first week there. And that was with clients too, which is incredible.
oh, wow. Yeah. But you've also spent some time on the White Nile.
I have, yes. When I had recently finished my last Keener session, Clay and Stephen Wright were headed out to the Nile, and they invited me on their trip, and so of course I was like, I have to do
Yeah.
this. And it
Yeah.
was pretty funny because I was in high school and I was in the international baccalaureate program, and
Mm,
they were not too happy with me leaving, ironically, to go kayaking there. And so I kind of had to work it out with the principal and get the school to approve me leaving for 2.5 weeks to go paddle it. But we got the principal on board. He was really excited about it, and he kind of passed it through to make it okay. And I was
that's
so happy.
awesome.
And it was really cool to be out there, but I really am sad that it's gone because it'd be so cool to go back with a little bit more experience and try and surf Nile Special a little bit better.
Yeah.
This summer in Norway too was really stand out. We had such an awesome crew where we were all camping together and paddling every day, and I never left Voss because we were on a bit of a dirtbag hitchhiking program, but we did so much good whitewater out there that I didn't need to leave.
Before we recorded, you were telling me about that trip. Maybe tell folks a little bit more about it because that was kind of like an all ladies trip, right?
Kind of. So I was out in Cali Collective, or I was out in Italy with Cali Collective, and then I knew that I really wanted to check out the event Extreme Sport Vecco, which is one of the biggest extreme sport competitions in the world. They have like base jumping, mountain biking, whitewater kayaking, skydiving, rock climbing, really everything. And there's like 10,000 people who are
Mm,
competing and watching every day. And so I knew I wanted to stay for that. And it was about a month after the Italy clinics. And one of my best friends from Boone, who paddles too, she came out there with me. And we had pretty loose plans for the month, but we're like, we're going to go there. We're going to learn what rivers we want to do, and just kind of figure it out. And that's what we did. We stayed in Voss. We met all the local paddlers, and they really took us in, became friends, and we had a great time paddling with them all month.
that's awesome. What about a river that you've not done yet that you just have to do? Top of your bucket list.
I would say Upper Cherry. That's one I've always really dreamed of doing, and I've never been either in California when it's in, or I've maybe been working, so I'm pretty eager to get on that one.
All right. Um, Best paddlers of all time, or your favorite paddlers of all time.
I would say my favorite paddles of all time is probably my crew here in Boone, just because no matter what we're going, if it's high water, everyone's down to go, and people are kind of flexible. Maybe we'll all go up to some slides and people will set safety if they don't want to run it. Or if things are super slow, we're not afraid to make down either. And I just really appreciate that everyone's always down to go. And then I would
Hmm.
say the mentors I listed earlier too.
Awesome. I want to go back up to flow advice, and I want you to think about like, you know, too often maybe we say like, oh, male, female paddlers, and you and Sage and Abby and people like that. Like, you guys are just great paddlers, right? You're amongst the best paddlers in the world, male or female. But think about, it's a male dominated sport. Unfortunately, we're I think it's growing the number of females, but we need more. And so what advice would you give to a young female paddler starting? And then also, what strategies do you think we can do to grow the sport in general, but maybe specifically with females?
Totally. I think for the girls, since there's so few girls, like trying not to put pressure on yourselves, and especially with like young girls comparing each other. And I think in competition, like knowing that the people you're competing with are going to be some of your lifelong best friends and
Mm,
that you should just like always be rooting for each other. And I feel like that's something that I've always had, but I've always also noticed that sometimes there's like intense competition just because it's such a smaller class. If you're looking at
right.
a heat of 50 people racing, it's like, oh, I'm going to be somewhere in the rankings. But sometimes if there's just three, the competition feels a little more intense. But just taking that pressure off of it and being like, I'm just out here with my friends and I'm trying to beat my personal best.
Right.
And
What
I think
about,
that
go
too,
ahead.
I really like the perspective of being excited about as many girls coming in as possible and as many tough girls as we can. It's like if I'm going to be competing in a race, I want to have, a bunch of really fast girls up against me to make me push myself to be the fastest I can be or really try and put my best run down.
And what about, just you have a marketing background and a great eye for marketing and talent with that. How can we better grow the sport so they get more people coming to the sport, going to the local outfitter, buying gear, and getting on the river at a more regular basis?
Totally. I think honestly showing like the personality and connection and just showing like equal representation and showing the girls out there in their element just like thriving. And I think companies like Dagger does a great job of supporting their female athletes, and so does
Mhm.
Kodak. And companies just putting equal funding as well as like equal prize money in competitions too is important.
Absolutely. Well, Ava, this is Final Flow. So I want you to, you're young in your kayaking career, but I want you to try to fast forward in your brain. And the river goddess has come down and she says, Ava, this is your last time that you're ever going to put on a spray skirt. But here's the good news: you get to pick your river, and you get to pick your boat, and you get to pick your crew.
This one's pretty easy for me. I think I would go back in time a little bit. In 2023, I safety boated on the Kern for Sierra South, and that was a super high water year. They had, I believe, around 500% snowpack. And so the first season I went out to the Kern, it was about, I think it peaked at like 3 or 500 CFS, and normally it peaks around 1,000 and stays
Mm.
there for a little while, from what I understand. But that summer in 2023, it held about 8 grand all year. And the crew at Sierra South was just constantly getting after it. We were working on the water all day just to get off and paddle back to the staff housing. And that's where I met Annie and Sadie, two of my best friends. So I think if I could go back, I would just do a lap with them.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Well, Ava, it has been a joy to have you on B-Flow Sessions. Congratulations again on graduating school, and with your paddling career that's been uh, amazing thus far, and we know it's going to be even more incredible as you continue on.
Thank you. It was great getting to talk to you, and I hope we get to get a lap somewhere soon.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm hoping to be in the boat a lot more in 2026.
Yeah, me too. And roll 'em to yours.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, Ava, for being on B-Flow Sessions.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of B-Flow Sessions, where we explore how paddlers find their flow on the water and in life. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow the show, leave a rating, or share it with a friend. It truly helps us grow the community. And a huge thank you to Pecan Kayak Retreat for sponsoring today's episode. If you're ready for a world-class Chilean whitewater adventure, email me at bflowkayak@gmail.com and I'll help you get dialed in. Until next time, keep finding your flow.